creatives, Karen here, mixed media artist and creative at By the Wolf Moon. So it's time to get into this Coming Home to Self series that I've been talking about for a wee while now. I think it's taking me a little while to actually sit down and talk to camera about it, because I know what I want to say, but sometimes it's hard to put those things into words, and also it's a really raw kind of thing opening up about these feelings that you have, that you keep so private that even maybe the closest people to you don't know. But that's also why I think it's really important for people to talk about this, and so I am facing the fear and doing it anyway, as they say. I'm not really scared about it. I'm pretty open about it. I'm not afraid of judgment. I never really have been. That's pretty evident by the way I dress and the way I portray myself to the general public. But what other people think doesn't bother me. I trust that the people who can gain something from what I have to say will hear me. So that was my little pep talk to myself. Now let's get into it. Okay, coming home to self. I think if you are at the stage where you realize that you are not living the life you want, that you're not the person you want to be, and you want something different for yourself, is the point when you can start to take positive and productive actions to change. And that's really where this whole becoming more authentic started to happen for me. And my creativity was a big part of that. I can see metaphors in everything I create for my life. In every piece of art that I create, I can see a metaphor for what is happening in my physical reality, which is a really great learning tool, I think. So I think the place to start with coming home to self is a blank page, like any piece of art. And life should be art. Life should be a work of art. It should be something that you create. It shouldn't be something that just happens to you. I really believe that. And for the first 40 odd years of my life, life just happened to me. I didn't feel like I had very much choice at all in how it unfolded, or in anything that had happened prior to that. But of course there is choice in even the impossible choices. There's always a choice, and if the choice is not in the action you take, then it's in the reaction that you have to it. So getting a bit off track there. So how do we come back to a blank page, I guess, and start over? So there were so many times when I was in the depths of darkness that I wanted a blank slate. I wanted to be able to just pack up and start over again. And of course, when you have children and people that care about you, that's really, really hard to do. And probably not the right thing to do, especially if you have children. I'm not saying it's impossible to do, but it just didn't seem like something that was possible for me. So how did I start over again? Basically what I had to do was take myself right back to birth. So right back to thinking about this new soul being born into a world, and how clean and unscarred that little baby was, that baby that was me, obviously, and all the things that I might have wanted for that little baby. So I think what happens, or certainly how it was for me, is I feel like people in our lives, so initially our parents and siblings, extended family, and then friends and society, later on the education system, whatever, have such a strong influence on telling us or guiding us as to who we should be, with the best of intentions, obviously, in most cases. You know, people only want the best for us, and so they guide us and lead us along paths that they feel are best for us, and that's not wrong, but I think we need to, in order to become our authentic selves, we need to be able to take the time to stop and process and really think about, you know, how these choices and decisions that are put before us feel. I hope this is making sense. I'm not sure if it is. I'll have to watch it back. But so from a young age, from the minute we're born, we are influenced by the world around us, and in most cases they will be good influences, and in some cases they won't be so good. And especially if you're a highly sensitive person or an empath, then our innate response is to please people, to keep people happy. We don't want to make them feel bad, and so we sort of do what we have to do to keep other people happy, and we kind of forget about how we're feeling and whether, you know, the path we're traveling is actually making us feel good, or if we're doing it because we think it's the right thing to do for everybody. So, and then we have other influences throughout our lives, things that happen to us, events that happen in our lives. So, you know, relationships, deaths, illness, you know, all these life events begin to happen to us, and they add to who we, you know, become. And unfortunately, often as these events occur in our lives, we then become that event. That event shapes us, so that we then are strongly associated with it, and associate with it then for the rest of our lives. So, for example, when my father died when I was 11, I went from being Karen to being Karen who no longer has a father in her life, or Karen whose father was killed in a car accident. And sort of we add that kind of description to who we are, and then that stays with us, or can stay with us if we allow it to, for the rest of our lives, and that becomes a part of who we are. Now, I think that that's where we start to become so bogged down by our past that we forget who we were before these things happened to us, and it becomes harder to take our true selves with us into the future. And it's really important for us to process events and then leave them, and not let ourselves become that event that happened in our life, for our own happiness, because we're not what has happened to us. I'm sure you've heard all that before. We're not what has happened to us in our past. So how do we do that? Well, I think the first thing is to go back to thinking about who we were when we came into this world, a brand new soul, with no influences, and who would that make us? And then we start to think about who we want that person to be, what we want them to feel, how we want them to respond to situations in their life, and what we want for them. And I'm not sure if, I know for me, certainly, I've never really ever thought about that. I've never really ever thought what I would have wanted for myself in this life. And so if I didn't know, I kind of have no guideline then of where I want to be or what I want from life. So I think the easiest way to do it is to think about the feelings that you want to feel. So if I was coming into this world again as a newborn soul, the feelings I would want to experience throughout this life are love, lots of love, support, loyalty, happiness, joy, adventure, excitement, all those feelings. And I think it's really helpful to write that down and write a list. If you have a journal, use your journal and just write a list of the feelings that you would want to experience if you were starting this life all over again. And then I think it's about beginning to let go of the labels and tags you've given yourself because of the events and things that have happened in your life. So obviously it's not about forgetting those things, but it's about choosing to live your best life, and experience the good feelings that you want to experience, just retaining the memory in the background of these things that have happened. So for example, for me, it's like when I think about my father, I might have a moment or two of regret that I didn't get to grow up with him. He didn't get to walk me down the aisle, those sorts of things. There's a moment of regret, and it's about allowing that, accepting that. And then it's about thinking about it's not dwelling on it. It's about loving yourself by having that response, because obviously my father was a important person in my life. He's the reason I have a life. But it's about allowing yourself that moment of sadness or regret, and then allowing yourself the compassion and allowing yourself to hold it in your heart and move on. Because the people that we have lost, especially if it's a parent, would want us to feel those feelings from that list of feelings that we've written about what we want to feel for our life. So the best thing we can do to honour them is to live a life of joy and love, and compassion, and not have our life overrun by feelings of sadness and regret and loneliness. That's possibly a cliche, but I think that's truly how we have to look at it, and it's important to take the time to sit and think about these things. It was for me, Anyway, so we need to start with a blank slate, with a fresh page. And then I think what I did was every morning when I woke up, I saw that as a fresh page to start with, and I thought about the feelings that I wanted to feel. So, and they are the same feelings that I have for my life. So I each day is a blank page, and you have the opportunity to fill it with the good feelings, with the good things you want to feel. And you don't have to take the page from yesterday and try and, make it better. It's not about that. You have to start each day with a fresh page. And initially this was the easiest way for me to do it, was to start with a fresh page each day. It is not easy, and it takes a lot of practice. And of course you'll have things come up, from yesterday and the day before and the week before and the month before, and all these things and all these feelings. You can't just make them go away, but you can consciously choose to start with a fresh page, and then you choose how to react in a way that aligns with the feelings that you want for yourself in this life. I'm really hoping this makes sense. It sounds a bit wacky even to me. Okay, so some things that we can do. So checking in first thing in the morning when you wake up, before you get out of bed. You need to get to know yourself again. You need to get to know your body really well. You need to get to know what your body is feeling physically, mentally and emotionally. And physically is probably the easiest one to start with. So you check in with yourself in the morning when you first wake up and you're lying in bed, and it's just a really quick body scan. Where am I aching? What hurts today? Well, for me, because I have spent a lot of years in pain, so that's where I started. Hopefully you are not a person who wakes up in pain every day, and so you would just be waking up, wiggling your toes, noticing each part of your body as you come up your body and eventually to your head, and then smile. Start the day with a smile if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Just start with a neutral facial expression. Okay, so check in the morning. Just take a few nice slow breaths and check in with your body. Then you can get up and start your day, and do the same thing every night before you go to bed. It's really helpful for me too, to lie down, not think about things that have happened in the day. It's not about that. It's about lying down and just doing a quick body scan, noticing where things might be aching or feel tired, and just breathing through it before you drift off to sleep. And I think that's really the first part of getting to know yourself again, is really checking in with your body, remembering that you have fingers, remembering that you have wrists, elbows and biceps and shoulders, and remembering that you have all these things on your body, and how amazing they are at keeping you alive and working for you. Because we really tend to just treat our body like robots and expect a lot of it, and don't give it a lot of appreciation in return. And that's definitely a part of getting to know yourself again and coming back to yourself. So along with that, another important thing is to start to take notice throughout the day. Start to take notice of your body. So take notice of when you're working or sitting at your desk, when your shoulders start to ache. Notice that. Notice how it feels when you're sitting at your desk, how the space around you feels. Take notice of that. Is there a breeze nearby? What sounds can you hear? You know, really start to use your senses again and notice how things feel and sound and, you know, taste and that sort of stuff. Because yeah, I think I had been living my life like a robot for so long that I'd forgotten what it was like to feel things. Just everyday things, you know, nothing exceptional, nothing out of the ordinary. But notice when you're wearing a necklace, notice the weight of it on your skin, notice the earrings, you know, notice the sound they make. It's really important to start taking notice of these things. It's really important for getting to know your physical self, and it's really important for noticing the space around you. So, you know, when you have a drink of water, notice the temperature of it. Notice how it feels going down your throat and into your stomach. Just take notice of these things. And I'm not saying you have to do it every time, but just sometimes. And, you know, this is just as we're getting to start to know ourselves again. It's really important that we take notice of everything that is around us, of the energy of the things we are putting into us, and that are coming into our energy field. So when you eat food, chew your mouthful of food and notice the taste. So many of us just shovel food in because we're in a rush and you know, don't even taste it really. Notice all the different flavors. Notice how it feels going down. Notice how long it takes you to chew it. Just start taking notice of these things and how they make you feel. Notice how it makes your body feel. Notice how it makes your heart feel and how it makes your mind feel. And are those feelings on the list of things you want to feel, you know, as part of your life? I really hope this makes sense. And then I want you to, you can do whatever you like. I don't want you to do anything but be you. But this is how I have come to know myself again. And it really did start with starting to take notice of things. So then what I do is I look at the world around me, and I look at it through a newborn baby's eyes. So I look at colours as if I'm seeing them for the first time, and I listen to sounds as if I'm hearing them for the first time, and I ask myself questions of, you know, about what else is that colour, or how does that colour make me feel? How do you even make that colour? You know, how amazing is the universe that this colour exists? You know, same with sounds. Where is that sound coming from? How far away is it? You know, is it something I should be moving away from? You know, start to notice the world around you and how it makes you feel again, because you know, by the time you get to my age, you really start to become immune to all these things, and you just don't notice them anymore. Except, I must say, when you do a YouTube video and then you notice all the sounds that you don't want in the background. So maybe we should all just start videoing ourselves. And you notice, you know, how your eyes, you know, whether they're shiny or how often you smile or don't smile, those sorts of things. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe we all just need to video ourselves more and watch it back. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's where I'll leave it for today. I hope that's given you some a few little tips on starting to come back to your authentic self, and you know, starting to get to know who you are again and how who you are makes you feel. I think that's really important. But definitely, if you can take a moment, write down the feelings that you would want yourself to feel looking at yourself as a newborn soul in this world. Those feelings that you would want to have in abundance in your life. I think that definitely, if you do nothing else, is a great place to start. So I will watch this back, and hopefully I'll probably just post it even if it's dumb. But I've made a start on the Coming Home to Self series, so yay. I hope you'll be back next time. I'll do another video shortly, hopefully today or tomorrow, with a little creative activity related to this beginning of your newborn self, and then maybe a guided meditation as well. We'll see how we go. But enjoy your day, and see you next time.